Three, two, one. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 22 of Fish and Grits, the podcast. It is Thursday, October 8th. We are recording on a Thursday because we did our Monday night live reaction to the Falcons and Packers game. More like a sad party is what it turned out to be. I think we made it to about halfway through the fourth quarter, Marco. Was that it?
We were there for longer than we should have.
It was brutal. We do these things because we want to, gauge a live reaction, show some excitement and give some live insight. But when your team continuously just does the wrong thing over and over and over and over again, there's not much you can talk about.
Willfully.
Yeah. You can just sit there and be sad and watch people on YouTube laugh at you and make fun of you for being a Falcons fan.
And call halfback dives on 2nd and 10.
Halfback dive, wide receiver screen, 4 verts. As you can see, we are shorthanded today. No Lionel. So, Micah, we need you to pull double duty. And
if he were here, I was gonna be like, he preemptively predicted that we would get destroyed, so that's why he missed.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's why he missed the thing, the segment that he scheduled, that he recommended and scheduled and didn't show up for. And I can say that here because I know he won't listen to this. Let's move very briefly through current events, gentlemen. There's not a whole lot of good stuff going on still, but one thing did happen yesterday in the vice presidential debates. For those of you who have the internet and opened up any type of social media, I'm sure you saw the
Flygate
2020, or what is his name? The guy that does the hotels. Jeff
Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum made his appearance in the vice presidential debates. For those of you who don't get that, that is a reference to the 1986 movie, The Fly, the horror movie. That was not a good movie. My mom was like, "Yeah, we should watch that." When I was a kid, I don't know why she thought that was a good idea. That was terrifying.
What is it? Just bad, like a bad movie, or was it scary?
It's not a good movie, and it's also kind of like when he turns into the fly, he's not that nice to look at.
Is he really a giant fly?
Yeah, he's
okay. I might have seen that. Yeah. I might have seen that.
It's a teleporting machine, right, Micah? That he invents. I forgot. It's like a short distance teleporting machine that he makes.
It's been so long since I've actually seen that movie.
And he teleports with the fly or something.
Well, yeah, he goes into the chamber to do it, and then like as the door is closing, you see this little fly go in there, and then he comes out the other side and he's like, "Yeah." So it's just a horror movie about a man who's turned into a human fly.
I think that's a book as well.
Probably. But yeah, the 2 robots went at it yesterday, and a fly came to watch.
The 2 robots.
I didn't hear many good things about it.
The neg bot and the fembot.
These debates have been a shite show.
It really has.
Like nothing good's come of it. Go for it, Micah.
I think, like I said, I think they told her to just play it cool because they're ahead after Trump's debacle of a debate, and it's like they just said to kind of coast, don't do anything, and then don't do too much to challenge, don't come off as the angry black woman.
All right.
So they
don't rock the boat at all.
Basically, play it safe and let Pence make up the ground. And all Pence did was basically filibuster. He didn't he only legitimately answered like two of the questions he was asked. Everything else was, I'd like to go back to the last question though, the last response of hers though. So it was just like
you don't really have to do much against those 2 because they'll just self-destruct. It was like we all have siblings here, so we know we probably invoked this strategy. Like when you know someone's guilty or they're going to do something, all you have to do is kind of like give them a little push, and they'll turn themselves in or they'll make themselves look bad.
Right. I mean, I didn't watch it, but I read the reviews, And then I saw like just like social media in general. And my biggest takeaway was that I guess he was like trying to bully her, and then black women were coming for her, like for her defense, like why he treating her like that. And then
they know why he's treating her like that.
Yeah, because he's bullish. She's a bullish.
Really what he bullied the moderator.
Yeah, and then I heard that too, that he didn't have
all he did, like he would talk, and she's like, and the moderator's like, all right, your time's up. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And he just keep talking. And she'd wait a second. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Still talking. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Still talking. And at a certain point, he was just like, let me finish this point. I need to finish this point. And then she just let him talk. And it's like, dude, he's going like a minute over his time.
And then also, I heard that she didn't, which was a missed opportunity, but she didn't sort of harp on the fact that like everybody in the White House got coronavirus.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't do that.
Yeah, it was a lot of that. I think that's why they said she just played it safe. It was a lot of punches that she could have taken that she pulled.
Maybe she'll wait till the next one. How many debates did the VPs get? Just one or two?
I think the one.
Is Trump and the other guy get?
Because no one really cares about VPs.
Right, true that.
Well, they're supposed to get to, like they're supposed to. Trump and Biden are supposed to be debating next Thursday, but when they said it's supposed to be a virtual debate, Trump is like, I don't want to do it. So
that's what I was gonna say. How in this day and age do you not have a mute button? Whoa, Marco,
what?
You're a robot.
You sound like a robot for a second.
Yeah.
A robot.
That, or you were talking through a 56K modem.
Oh yeah, probably.
But yeah, that like when Trump found out it was going to be virtual and not in person, so he can't legitimately like use those annoying little brother tactics and just
hey, look at me.
To throw off Biden's game. So yeah,
would you just shut up already?
Plus clown.
Plus with the virtual in the Zoom call, you could just, all right, your time is up. Mute.
It goes to
that'd be
like they cut his camera off. All of a sudden, you just see it cut out, and it's just like a picture of Trump. Like, wait, what?
Or you've been booted from this chat for a second.
Go to the waiting room.
Oh man,
that'd be too funny.
All right, I'm gonna throw an alley oop here to you, Marco. A full court alley-oop. Let's get out of this nonsense.
Full court. That was quite a pass, Ryan.
There's no look, too, behind the back.
So I'm going to go ahead and play this audio right here. Time for the layup, a.k.a. the finger roll, a.k.a. jelly time, a.k.a. points in the paint. And I don't know how well that came across. I need to put that, but I'm gonna build a custom one eventually. All right, so
get a soundboard for us.
Right. So it sounds clear and doesn't have to be put in post.
Play it through Zoom.
Right. So what does the NBA have for us this week? Pretty much the finals. So all this bubble talk and all this wonderful basketball that we've been able to have had the pleasure of watching has culminated to a finals game between the Lakers, LeBron James, and his old stomping grounds, his old alma mater, if I could say, the Miami
from the Heat.
He graduated from the Heat, became a man after he played with the Heat, under the tutelage of Professor D. Wade. So the Lakers have taken a commanding 3-1 lead. And surprisingly, to me, the most surprising thing of this is how close this series has been, despite the fact that Miami is like against all odds. They lost while we talked about it last time, that they literally started this series losing two of their best players, two of their top three players. And one came back, but before Ban had a chance to come back in game 4, Jimmy Butler pretty much by himself. We'll give Tyler here a little credit, but since he's young, I'm saying it was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was able to stay within 10 in one game and then win the next game. So I think that was awfully impressive. And despite what this 3-1 might could become as of tomorrow. 4-1. I think that Jimmy Butler was very impressive in this. What do y'all think of what y'all have seen so far with this finals? Micah.
It's depressing.
It's depressing. Why?
Not because to be honest with you, like I've gained so much more respect for Jimmy Butler this year, and how, like, because you know he wants to win. He's that, but it's like I was telling some friends. I said the sad thing is you root for the underdog, and because, like, I mean, just a bad basketball wise, he's not on the same level. Like, he's not as physically gifted as like LeBron and AD are. But you see, like, that he's the kid that every coach would love to have, because he's gonna give everything, and he's gonna play as hard as he can. He's gonna give it all every game. And like I said, it's kind of depressing in that sense. Not like a hate on LeBron type thing or hate on AD type thing, but it's a, I really want to see Jimmy Butler win something, and this legitimately might be the only shot he has to. Because I don't know. I mean, in the full season next year, I don't know how the dynamics going to change when Brooklyn's back at full power. Which I mean, if they're doing the cooperative coach thing, I don't think they're going to be that great. But
The co-op.
it's so much can change. I think next season starts in like a month, but a good bit can change in just that brief off season. Like, players might move, and so, like, there are some free agents. So I would love to see him be able to pull this off and get him a ring. But I mean, for the most part, it's just like they just can't overcome the obstacles. They're a little bit too young, too inexperienced, and yeah, it's just it's kind of unfortunate to see that happen to Jimmy as hard as he's played.
Right.
I go back and forth when I'm watching the game, because I feel like Micah does. I would love to see Jimmy and this Heat team get a ring, because they are a basketball team, and those are the type of teams I love to watch. They play the right way on offense. They play the right way on defense. They're not gonna, like, I mean, Jimmy in game 2. Where's the game that he did that? It was game 2 or 3.
Game 3.
Game 3.
You went ape shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting up shots that weren't good basketball shots, but they were going in because he was just so ridiculously hot. That's the only time you really see them do that. And typically, you'll look at their stats, and it's like, this guy has 20, this guy has 20, this guy has 15, other guy has 13, other guy has 10, because they share the ball. And their defense is just absolutely. It's probably the best defense in the NBA, I would say. Just the way they play and how smart they are, and the way they play passing lanes appropriately, and their shading is just spot on. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And so I would love to see a team like that win, but also at the same time, I want to see LeBron get another ring, just to spite you two, really. So I go back and forth. Like, I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool to see the Heat win. But then again, I don't want to hear all the LeBron haters like, oh, he's 3-7 in the finals. He's 3-7. Like, this would be one that's inexcusable if he did lose it, because they are by far the more talented team. So it's a fun finals to watch for me, honestly, just because you're seeing how a team constructed like the Heat, when you build a team the right way and you build it with the right players, can actually compete. It's also fun to watch LeBron at just some points just go, you know what? All right, it's time to win this game and really take over. Now, last night he was pissing me off when he kept jacking up those like 35-foot 3-pointers from the same spot and just clanked them over and over and over again. It's like, no, LeBron, stop. Like, you are a top of the key 3-point shooter only. Stop doing this other stuff. So yeah, it's a refreshing finals. I hate seeing super teams, and I don't think the Lakers are a super teams by any means. They have two really good superstars. No, they're not a super team.
They are very much so.
How they don't even compare to the type of talent
even the Cleveland Cavaliers had.
Right. I mean, you've got two stars and then a bunch of guys that are
but here's the thing. Their two stars are their second star is way better than anybody else LeBron has ever played with. Because even D Wade, I love D Wade, but D Wade had some knee injuries at that point. He wasn't 100%, and he knew he was starting to. Plus, he was already close. You mean
before or after the 4 championship games?
Yeah, I was like, which D Wade?
Well, no. Like that first year, because you know, D Wade was like a 5-year college guy, so he was already a little older in the draft class.
3-year college.
So he was close to 30 when they actually came together. Versus you have a prime AD who's a 6'10",
2-year college guy. You're both wrong.
Yeah. What's that?
He only was in college for 2 years.
D Wade.
Yeah.
Oh, he was, but he's a little older, ain't he?
No,
I don't think so.
I think, but he did have some injuries.
You're just making this narrative to fit the way you think.
No, he had some injury issues though. He did.
There's old man Wade playing with
right. I'm like
young spry.
But AD is
he was holding LeBron back.
6'10". AD is not quite as good of a scorer as Kevin Durant, but
not quite, not even close.
Yeah, no, it's like two different levels.
But defensively, he's on a completely different level.
Yeah,
he can handle the ball, he can shoot, he can play low post.
Okay, let me ask you both a question real quick. Would you take this Lakers team over any of those Heat team that LeBron was on?
Hell no.
Yes.
What? Why? Who?
Because first of all, I've never been that huge fan of Chris Bosh.
But he was great.
You're a hater.
In Toronto,
Chris Bosh
in Toronto, he was. In Toronto, he was good.
He put up numbers in Toronto, but as a team, as a basketball player in Miami,
I didn't like the way.
Main reasons they won championships.
Here's the thing. I didn't like what he became with LeBron.
He did what he had to. He became the third scorer with two other superstars.
But no, it's just this kind of timidness to his game. It was like Rasheed Wallace, watching Rasheed Wallace towards the end of his career. That's what
he got a championship with Detroit.
Yeah.
But Rasheed Wallace was this hardcore player who towards the end of his career just drifted out to the 3-point line, and that's what his game
I'm saying, but if Rasheed Wallace was taking 15 shots a game when he was with Detroit, they wouldn't have won a championship.
Right. You fill your role, and you don't with D Wade, a slashing 2 guard, and LeBron, one of the best slashing 3s in the game. You don't sit in the paint as Chris Bosh. You become a better outside shooter.
But
you space the floor.
But it still doesn't matter.
It does matter. What are you talking about?
We're
talking about how bad that would be if he were to sit down in the paint and just have a center sitting there waiting for Wade.
Right where LeBron always operates.
But it's not his strength. He just kind of
became his strength. He became one of the best pick and popping 4/5s in the game. You need to look at his pick and pop shooting percentage. He would pop or he would drift.
Still didn't like it.
It doesn't matter what you like. It was a
personal preference. You cannot
like Mario.
You cannot say
like Mario Chalmers. I like Rondo. I like take Rondo over Mario Chalmers any day.
I'll take Ray Allen.
I'll
take Ray Allen.
Ray Allen over Caldwell Pope.
Ray Allen at like 38.
And who still was
he can knock down shots. He's a better shooter consistently than anybody.
Rashard Lewis over Kyle
right now. But it's still, I mean, he wasn't great defender, which you have some actually very good defenders who are long and can shoot a little bit. They're just not as good of shooters as he was. So I mean, there were some flaws in that.
There's a flaw in every team.
You cannot honestly say
that's why they lost to Dallas.
Stop. No, let's go back to those seasons. Let's go back to those seasons. Now I'm saying if you had to win a championship in the seasons that the Miami Heat did, you would take the Lakers
Yep.
And you would take an L.
LeBron wouldn't even take these Lakers over those Heat teams.
No, like I said, I did not like a lot on that roster.
Shit.
Udonis Haslam.
Okay, let's scooch on. So the way that the Heat have been able to stay competitive in this game is first they've turned AD into a jump shooter, which sort of he does by himself a little bit. Like he loves that little back pivot fade away. He even shot one in the last game from the left corner. It hit the backboard.
Yeah.
It's like, what was that? And LeBron has been struggling, but struggling like how Iggy held him to 30, 10, and 10 and won an MVP. That kind of struggling. He's averaging 27, 11, and 8. I'm pretty much dashing all the hopes that I had at least for AD winning the MVP. We know LeBron's getting that
struggling
now.
and LeBron continuing to do this. There's no chance now.
Yeah, there's no chance because AD got in foul trouble in Game 3, and since then he's not been impressive. Ryan already talked about how the Heat have been playing probably the best defense that we've seen, at least in the bubble. Lakers turnover problem has been has kept on happening. But I want to get down to just the Jimmy Butler factor. We sort of touched on this already. He's been averaging 27, 7, and 10. Has he ascended to superstar status to you guys?
Yes, I had this actually have an ongoing debate with Marlon and a couple of the other guys that we play 2K with. And Marlon doesn't think that Jimmy's a superstar yet. He tried to compare him to Chauncey Billups during that run with the Pistons. And I told him it was a fair comparison stat-wise. It was a fair comparison for what they do for their team. But Jimmy Butler's team is not as good as that Pistons team was yet. Now they can be. They most definitely can be with Hero and Goran Dragic and Bam and all the depth they have across that lineup. But they're not there yet.
Healthy they could be.
Yeah, healthy. Maybe in a year or two they could.
Yeah.
Give him a little bit more experience because Tayshaun Prince was a savvy player. Rip Hamilton was a clutch shooter and a great defender. And
he was off ball.
All he did was run your defenders to death.
Yeah.
Tayshaun Prince was one of the lankiest dudes I've ever seen on a basketball.
He locked down Kobe slick and
he was a damn good defender. And then you had Rasheed Wallace, like Micah said, who was a great savvy vet who made the big plays. And then one of the best defensive big men of all time, Ben Wallace. And then they also had what's his name? I can't remember. Their bench was deep too. They had a really
Darko
good
Milicic.
Yeah, Darko, that's what I was trying to remember. And then they had a good backup point guard. They had good depth. I mean, they were just a really good team. So I think that's what they could become. I don't think they're there yet. They're just not quite there. So
you
to back up, yes, I think Jimmy is a superstar. I think he's ascended there.
Just to clarify, when we talk about superstar, we're talking about LeBron, KD, Steph, Kawhi.
Exactly.
Giannis,
he is at
if
the
you want to talk about Giannis,
bottom of the superstar level. He is like
so below those five
superstar. Because the way we always talk about it is you have superstars, you have all stars, and then stars. So
right,
and then you've got just all your other players that are like a superstar is like the people you just mentioned. All stars would be like
Paul George.
Paul George. Trae Young, maybe you might be able to throw that in there.
He's coming up.
Victor Oladipo, like Kyle Lowry. He's a perennial all-star, but he's not a superstar.
Yeah.
Stars.
He might not even be a deserving all-star.
Yeah, he might just be a star.
He's just a
honestly.
star.
So I mean, those are your tiers. But I think with what Jimmy's done and just willed his team to wins, and a lot of people try and discount Jimmy because of his offensive numbers before this, because he was only averaging like 22 in the playoffs, which is good. But it's not superstar numbers. Like superstar numbers is what LeBron's putting up. And then he turned it to a different level in the finals.
I mean, in the finals, he's pretty much matching.
Yeah, he's matching LeBron. So, and actually a much more efficient LeBron. What do you think, Micah?
I don't know about that. I think he's on the cusp, but I think part of my hesitation to put him in as superstar is it's like I said, he's not just that freak of nature, like AD and LeBron and stuff. So everything he does, like he works so hard at it, but because he's a bit of an overachiever, it's he's not always consistent. So I kind of find like a lot of superstars, it's more of a consistency thing. Like they can go out there and take over games at will. Now, granted, he can take over some games, but then you have some game. You see a lot of games from him where it's just like he can't buy a bucket. So
until he gets to the free throw line, which he always does, no matter what.
I mean,
but I mean, that's one of my biggest, I guess, not complaints, but one of the biggest reasons I hesitate is just because, like I said, he can't do it as easily as like Steph. Steph can kill you from the 3-point line, or like LeBron can just get to the basket at will. He's great, but it's just it doesn't come natural to him. That's what to me, that's what it just seems like.
I have a question. So, and this is what I was leading up to there at the end before I forgot my train of thought. So, what ascends Jimmy is not just his offensive talent for me. So, is superstardom only an offensive thought for you, Micah? And just give me a short answer real quick.
Not really. Huh?
So give me a short answer because I want to follow that up.
Not really. It's
so it's more than just
like
offensive.
Yeah. It's more so the ability to just take over a game.
Do you not feel, and I'm not grilling you, I'm just asking your opinion. Do you not feel that Jimmy's will to win and his work ethic and also his defense elevates and makes up for that little bit of offensive inability that you're talking about?
That's definitely his strongest suit, but I think, like I said, it's really the downside is the inconsistency on the offensive end. You know what you're gonna get on the defensive end. I can put up 40 this game, but the next game I might struggle to put up 15. And that's the issue that with Jimmy.
Well, until he develops a consistent jump shot outside of 15 feet. Yeah.
He's too late in his career to start talking about when he develops it. But so let me give my answer. You good, Micah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So my opinion on Jimmy Butler, I tend to agree more with Micah on this.
Most
I think
do.
I think the superstar club is an exclusive club, and I even struggle to really put Kawhi and Giannis in that. You know what I mean? Just because, I mean, Kawhi, like up until what happened this year, I mean, he was firmly in there for me, but he sort of faltered. Giannis, I've already mentioned, it's hard for him to close games because he just lacks the skills he needs offensively to make an impact in that aspect of the game, even though he has every other aspect in terms of defense and just, all that he's set in. So to me, it's LeBron, KD, and Steph are the superstars in the league. The reason why I would not have Jimmy Butler in that, I'd probably put Jimmy Butler like 6. I'd say he's more valuable than James Harden. He's more valuable than like Westbrook, Paul George.
You don't think Harden's a superstar?
No, not really.
Wow.
I mean, you can score a lot of points, but
Russell Westbrook ain't a superstar,
right? He averaged
definitely
3
not
triple-doubles.
a superstar.
He averaged 3 triple-doubles. Superstar to me is just like, it's like you transcend. It's like your greatness leads your team. Like how Steph like was able, despite the fact that KD went down and they were like, that Portland team came in super hot. They were down 20 in each game, and then slowly but surely they swept them fools. It's like that kind of thing. Like, and I think Jimmy Butler, I would put him up there, but my thing is I agree with Mike in terms of his offensive inconsistency, and not even just inconsistency. He is not a willing scorer. Like Jimmy Butler, more than any other player I've ever seen, drives all the way to the basket, has a clear dunk, and then dishes it. Like I've seen him do that more than any other player ever. And I feel like,
Steve Nash.
Yeah, it's like, and I understand his IQ is high and he's trying to get a higher percentage shot, but it's like, bro, you're 6'6", 6'7", just jam that thing or lay it up like you have freaking Caldwell Pope on you. Don't try to dish it. Like, you got something to say, Ryan?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you're saying the qualifiers for a superstar is having the talent to lead your teams to victory?
And then
Correct?
also just your impact on the game has to be like non-pareil. Like you can't sort of, and that's why Steph is the third on that list too, because they have found ways to mitigate Steph's impact, especially deep in the, when you're in the finals, it's like, it doesn't matter what team shoots better. It's like, you need guys that can hit threes. It doesn't even matter who's a better percentage wise. Right. But, the harder it is for someone to mitigate your impact, I feel, is what makes you a superstar. And, Jimmy, like I said, Jimmy's right there, but I just see him he's just not an elite scorer. He just isn't.
But can you not have an impact on both sides of the floor?
I just think in order to be a superstar, you need to be elite. You do have to be an elite scorer. I'll just say it straight up. You have to be an elite scorer to be a superstar, because scoring is what wins games at the end of the day. Like, you can, just like we've seen, he's all the shit that he's done and they're still down 3-1. You know what I mean? And I know all the cards are against him. You know what I mean? But all these games have been close. You know what I mean? And I know, what is he going to do? Average 40?
Was Kevin Garnett a superstar in Boston?
Not in Boston.
Why not?
He was the leader. He was a star, but
why was he not a superstar there?
Statistically, he was way down.
Because it was Paul Pierce's team.
Yeah, it was Paul Pierce's team as well. And I wouldn't even call Paul Pierce a superstar.
Right. I know he was not a superstar, but Kevin Garnett was the reason they won those championships.
He was, but on the Timberwolves, he was a superstar. But I'd say when he was on Boston, he wasn't like a superstar.
Well, he was.
I don't like that definition, Marco, because I mean, they shared just the reason we got on Micah for Chris Bosh. You can't say that Kevin Garnett didn't have an impact and didn't, like, his numbers went down because he had.
We're not talking about impact, though. We're talking about.
You said impact.
I'm saying LeBron, KD, Steph.
Okay, but
can you put him in that list? Can you put him with those guys?
That's why I said the very bottom of it. And my superstar list is a little bit longer than yours, because Harden is most definitely a superstar in my eyes.
How?
Because he's one of the best scorers of all time. If you take Harden off the Rockets, they don't make the playoffs.
Right, but they still take L's regardless.
Because those teams aren't built to win in the playoffs.
This is a dude who literally doesn't show up.
He showed up this year.
That Chris Paul,
it's because of the system more so than
game
anything.
7 was not showing up. That was like, oh, which team wants it less?
Well,
yeah, that was
the system. And Russell Westbrook taking stupid shots down the stretch.
Russell Westbrook, good God, is most
James
definitely
Harden. Like, he's right. Like I said, he's right on the cusp. But I still put him. I still have those 5 guys ahead of James Harden, and I might put Jimmy Butler ahead of James Harden. Just
who was your 4th?
It was Kawhi, then Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
what? Nah, he had Kawhi and Giannis, and then he said he put Jimmy Butler ahead of him too. So James Harden is 7th on his, at least 7th on his list.
I would put James Harden right after that, because it is incredible what he does, and he's definitely more valuable than Paul George.
Way more valuable than Paul George. It's not even close.
Well,
I'm willing to accept it. I just want to question it because I don't see consistent logic there.
Like, would you do you consider Scottie Pippen a superstar?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily call Scottie Pippen a superstar, but that's just a definition thing.
Scottie Pippen was one of the most impactful players of all time.
So in that case, I would say what I would say is if Jimmy Butler were on that Clippers team instead of Paul George, they'd be in the championship right now.
Right.
Like,
so he's better than Paul George. Paul George is an all-star. So I'd be willing to accept that he is the best. Not the best, but he's at the top of all-star, bottom of superstar. I mean, that's minuscule there. It doesn't really matter.
Right. I mean, if he were able to like come back and win this in game 7, then okay, he's firmly a superstar to me now. But
if he drops another 40 and gets him another win,
I mean, still
does he have to take it to game 7 in order to
put him ahead of Giannis?
if they come back and sweep that series on Jimmy's back, then I might look at it a little different.
Yeah, I'll look at it way different. Because like I said, he's just such a unwilling scorer to me. Like, I
don't think
they
this
need him.
system
Yeah,
you're ever going to see him really do that though.
But they need him to.
Yeah, right now they most definitely do.
My thing is like, I'm not gonna be crazy with it. Where like like with Kawhi after Kawhi beat the Warriors last year and everybody, Kawhi's the best player in basketball. I'm not gonna do that with Jimmy Butler. I'm not gonna say he's better than LeBron if he comes and does a backdoor sweep on him. But I will say that he might have hit that bottom of superstardom, because he's close. But like I said, it's just the offensively, I've never really been blown away by Jimmy Butler's offensive game.
Oh yeah, and you never will. And I think the problem with Jimmy Butler's offensive game is it's not a flashy, like it's not Steph where he's gonna drop 50 because he went 10 of 15 from 3 and he has all these flashy plays. He's like, just like you said before, he's a grinder. He's going to get out there and he's going to he's going to bully his way to the basket because he's one of the strongest two guards. Even when you put him against threes, he's stronger than most of them. He's just so physically, like, he's built perfect for what he does. He gets to the basket. He'll bully you out of the way down there and get an open shot. There were several times where he had AD on him and bullied him out of the way. He is just incredibly strong, and his balance and his ability to get up a shot over people is highly impressive. But you're right. He's not going to get out there and be like, "Look at me, I hit 7 threes tonight."
Or even 7 jumpers.
Yeah.
Like his game, his offensive game, somewhat reminds me of Giannis.
A little bit.
Except Giannis is a freak of nature, and that's why a lot of people consider Giannis superstar, and they don't necessarily put Jimmy up there. And like I said, I love Jimmy. But the one thing that's going against, like you said, he's an overachiever. He's a grinder. He's not. There's nothing special about him physically. Like,
So
even
the fact that he's 6'6", 6'7". I mean, he's like Jordan minus the go-to offensive skills. Like,
but I mean, even Jordan had freak of nature, jumping ability. Like he could glide and hang in the air.
But not old Jordan, not like second three-peat Jordan.
Well, even second three-peat Jordan still had some nasty reverse layups and that he dunked on Dikembe Mutombo in 99 and like 98.
Yeah, no, he still could. I mean, even Jimmy can still jump. But I mean, he's never.
But I mean, like when I'm just talking about like freak of nature, just nothing you can do. Like, I'm just gonna jump over you. I'm gonna dunk on you. I'm gonna outrun everybody else. He doesn't have that freak athleticism like some of the guys that we consider superstars, but he works so hard on his game that he can compete and make himself competitive, essentially.
I agree. So let's go ahead.
I will say the one thing that we can all agree on about Jimmy Butler and his superstardom is his mustache is definitely a superstar.
I know that's the star of the finals right now.
I think it's so hideous.
Speaking of stars of the final, just a couple more stories about the Heat I want to say. The first about Hero, I did hear a story about like when Jimmy first joined the team, his dad would like be texting him because he was afraid that his Hero was going to be hanging out with Jimmy Butler because I guess his reputation preceded him.
Oh.
But look how that ended up.
Yeah,
and another Hero thing was funny. Vegas said that 74% of all the bets were for the Lakers to cover the 7.5 point spread. And then Tyler Hero at the end of the game hit that 3.
That always happens. It's always that last second shot that just breaks Vegas's hearts. Vegas knows something, man.
They sure do, man. They sure do, because those spreads they said are always.
It's perfect every time. It's perfect to rip your gut or your soul out, give you a gut punch right at the end.
Right. So that is pretty much it. And by the way, Gordon's been ruled out for Game 5, so the Heat really are gonna need someone to still like Jay Crowder to drop 25 to really have a chance to win. And Bam looked really bad in Game 4, so hopefully he can look better.
Did y'all know that about Jay Crowder when I asked y'all the other night or told y'all?
No, I did not know he was from Villarica.
Yeah, Villarica's own Jay Crowder.
Is he the only Georgia rep in the finals right now?
No. I think
Casey
Caldwell.
Yeah, is he from Georgia though? I know he went to Georgia.
I think he might be. I'm not 100%.
He look like he's from Georgia.
He does. Let's find out real quick.
Look like he's from Georgia. What does that even mean?
You know what I mean.
KCP is Thomaston, Georgia. So he's almost Florida.
You can't tell. Some of the expressions he makes, and like, I have this one during the season where he was like, something was happening. And he was just like looking at the camera while the camera was on. I was like, yeah, that's a Georgia boy right there.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking of Thomasville. He's from he's from around Macon.
That's in the country. Yeah, that's not like city. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the NBA.
Outside of Atlanta is all country.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's it for the NBA. Bop, bop, bop. The layup, jelly time, points in the paint, the finger roll, all that good stuff. And let's take a break.
Let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
See you guys after the break.
See ya.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. We were just having riveting conversation about how good Joel Anthony actually was and how underappreciated he was as a basketball player. And Micah actually confessed to being his number one sports fan.
He said, "Look, his head's
so big, it's huge." All right, so we're gonna.
You can see it from space.
Our heads are huge. You can see it from
impressive.
space. I don't know if Marco would know that reference.
Where's that from?
Sex Drive.
Yeah. The two little kids that would party that they were like, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. But let's talk about some baseball here, Micah.
Baseball.
Yeah, baby. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win.
Said bring.
Oh man, it's a great day for Atlanta Braves baseball. As an Atlanta fan, Braves win. They sweep. I forgot. I'm just blanking out the Marlins. They sweep the Marlins 3-0, and we saw a beautifully pitched game from Kyle Wright today, which is actually one of the things, we've talked about it for months basically, and it's can the Braves win if we like rely on our pitching staff to help us get wins. And so far, between Fried, Ian Anderson, and Kyle Wright, we look like we could potentially do some damage this year.
Max Fried's the only one who's given up a run.
Yeah, and
that whole pitching staff.
That was pitching on short rest though.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm very excited. We are in the NLCS for the first time since 2001. It's been almost 20 years since the last time we've gotten this far. So offense looks to be clicking after that debacle of a Red series where we struggled to score runs, period. But the Marlins series, the bats look like they awoke. they woke up.
They're woke. The bats are woke.
So what?
What?
It's looking like we might face a formidable opponent in the NLCS, though. So right now, the Dodgers are ahead on the Padres 2-0.
Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on to who we might face, I cannot believe y'all said y'all are afraid of the fish. I cannot believe it. Y'all were
You mean
afraid
that
of a
too?
team
Yeah.
that's only won 2 playoff games since been in the playoffs twice since they've been existed.
But what did they do in those 2 playoff appearances?
We own them.
No. What did they do in
man.
those 2 playoff appearances?
We freaking see that tilapia, man.
Answer the question, Marco.
They actually beat us one time to win a championship. That's true.
They've won the World Series both times they made the playoffs.
Well, I mean, like my thing with the Marlins is like typically I don't like facing teams that know you well, and it's now while we know them well and we definitely exploited them. At the end of the day, there's the opportunity that they know you well enough that they can potentially exploit all your flaws.
Or they're so used to getting that ass whooped that they just lay down.
They're the only team in the division that we didn't have a winning record against. I can't talk.
You said 6-4. That's
Yeah,
still
we were 6.
I thought we were 6-6. Okay, so we're 6-4.
Yeah, we're 6-4 against them. But I mean, that was definitely the worst winning percentage of teams in our division this season.
We smacked everybody else.
So I mean, here's the they can be. Marlins have talent. Pitching, I'm not 100%. Right, yeah, but they have talent, but it's just we are playing very well, and our pitching, our 3 starting pitchers have clicked, and our bullpen has been lights out so far. So, so let me go back into it as I was before Marco.
I was so rudely interrupted.
So
what?
So the NLCS, like we look like we're going to play the winner between the Dodgers and the Padres. Right now, it's looking like it's probably going to be the Dodgers, who we said at least a month or so ago that this is the scariest team for us to play in the playoffs because they just looked so dominant. Now, the only upside has been offensively, they haven't been great. But their pitching staff has been so good that, well, actually, I don't even really know how great their pitching staff has been because the Padres' offense is so anemic that they struggle to put up runs as well. So, we could potentially play a very strong Dodgers team though, and if we can get them and whoever we play, I would love to see a sweep. As an Atlanta fan and what we're dealing with the damn Falcons, I need some joy in my life, stress-free joy in my life. I just need them to just sweep their way through, get us a championship so we have something to celebrate as 2020 has been a uber rough year for no reason. So
no reason at all.
No reason at all.
Yeah, no reason.
I want to back it up real quick and then also tie it into the the Dodgers matchup here. So we were talking about our pitching before and how it's been a strength for us. Have our pitchers really come to life, or has it just been a sign of who we faced? Because the Reds had a terrible offense this year, and the Marlins had a very hot and cold offense this year. I don't think they had a hitter above 300, if I remember reading that right. They were all like mid 260s, 240s type of guys because they're all young. They're all very young, so they're not like they don't have the plate discipline. They don't know a lot of the pitchers, and they don't really know how to approach a bats. Is our pitching staff that good now? And we'll just take it real quick around the horn.
Let me answer real quick. I think that while it is true that we have dominated, some might say mediocre competition, but at the same time, I think that what that is, baseball being such a confidence game and I think that we've proven that these guys are clutch. You know what I mean? They come up when they need to. That game against the Reds where it was like the bases loaded and we still managed to get out of those situations multiple times.
AJ Minter.
Right. So even if you're playing guys who aren't good, when you're in those situations and you have to win and you do, I think you get just as much credit as smoking somebody who's, because look at the Dodgers. I mean, they're world beaters and they've been struggling, as well. So I think when you beat a team and you're on the highest level in the playoffs, then it doesn't. I think you just have to give credit for wins when they happen.
Micah, what you think?
I mean, I kind of agree with Marco on that one. I think, especially the bullpen has really been good. And now, granted, that was never really a weakness for us in the regular season, outside of when Luke Jackson pitched. But it's one of those things where they've even seemed to step their game up a little bit even more. Because like I said, that first game against the Reds, how many times did they wind up with bases loaded, and we got twice, and we got out of the inning both times.
They left 13 on.
And it's 13. You leaving 13 runners on. Now, granted, that's a sign of an anemic offense, but at the same time, when you get bases loaded with one out or no outs and you can't get a run in, that means your pitching staff is probably doing a damn good job. So between them, and then not to mention, got to give all the credit to the starters, because coming into the series versus the Marlins, we knew Fried and Anderson were going to be good. I mean, those guys have been, like, ever since Ian Anderson's come up, I don't think he's had a bad start. And then one bad start. And then Fried has been pretty much lights out all year, like best ERA in the league and everything. So, you knew, but it was, can Kyle Wright come in and pitch well enough to get us a win? Or can we get a third starter to come in and get us a win? And Kyle Wright came in today and pitched to Jim. So, it looks very well. Like while the talent the teams we faced weren't great, it was just how well, and like hitting things, like hitting their spots, setting batters up and things like that. That stuff, it looked like our pitching staff did well. So I definitely think that it was more of us playing well as opposed to just the opponents being bad.
I agree, because good teams are supposed to dominate lesser competition, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
I mean, our pitching staff, between the three of them, I think Fried didn't pitch too great in this game, but Ian Anderson struck out 8, I believe, yesterday, and Kyle Wright struck out 7 today. Yeah. When you're pitching to no contact, that's, especially in playoff baseball, that's winning baseball.
Yeah.
So I think this was a sign of how our pitching staff has progressed. And to take it back 2 or 3 episodes ago, when I was talking about Kyle Wright's new pitch, it's actually a sinker, not a split finger. Mm-hmm. It's just a very hard biting sinker. So that pitch has really turned him into a different pitcher. If you can throw a sinker well, especially one that dives late and hard, that is such a deadly pitch. That is probably the hardest pitch to do anything with.
Yeah,
you're gonna roll over the top of it every time. What you got, Micah?
Unless you're, like with Jair Jurgens had that very good split sinker when the good seasons he could control it.
Keep it
then
low.
The next season he'd come back and he would start to hang them and get shelled.
That's left field porch every time.
Yeah.
So with the let's predict here a little bit and say the Dodgers will beat the Padres, whether it's tonight as they play, or they beat them in the next game or the game after that. We will be going to Arlington, Texas, to play the Dodgers. And this is, Mike and I talked about this a little bit. For those of you who don't know anything about the ballpark in Arlington, that is an enormous field. I think it is the biggest field in Major League Baseball right now. So there's lots of space, lots of green space in the outfield, and lots of places to sneak the ball if you're a really speedy runner. Now, both teams have some players that are like that, but I feel like we have a little bit more. Who do you guys think hold the advantage going into a ballpark like this? Keep in mind pitching and hitting. I want y'all to talk about both topics there. Marco.
Wait, so you said that the park is the Arlington Park is good for it's
It's
big.
a huge
It's a
ballpark.
pitcher's ballpark.
It's a pitcher's park, so it's harder to get home runs there.
Yeah. Right field is so far out. Left field's, I think, just as I'll you know what, go ahead and talk about it and I'll bring up the dimensions.
So I think that in a pitcher's park, obviously, you know, I'll say it two ways. Like, we're obviously at a disadvantage on paper, right? But I think when your guys have been as hot as ours have, that it's a wash. You know what I mean? I think that it's an even playing field between, you know, because the Dodgers have a good staff, right? So they'll have I'd say they have a slight advantage, but you know, as long as our bats are, you know, our home runs are tougher to come by, we're at a slight disadvantage, I'd say.
So here's the dimensions real quick. You got a lot of space behind home plate. It's 42 feet. That's old school right there. So you can get a lot of pot fly outs there. But down the lines, it's actually shorter than I thought. 326 to right field, 374 to right center, and then center field gives you 410, 407, 410, and then it goes to 372 again at left center, and then 329 down the line and left. That's a big park.
Yeah.
So
you still get some.
This is a new field. This is not their old field. This is not the ballpark at Arlington.
Oh yeah.
So this is a covered stadium.
Oh,
It's still a big field though.
so whose home field is this?
This is the Rangers.
The Rangers. Okay.
Let's see what the ballpark in Arlington looked like. Is it just converted?
Possibly.
I'm now confused.
They could have renovated.
Yeah, I think it is renovated because it's still got the same. Yeah, so I think they just put a roof on it. Cool. Any listeners that know better than us, sorry, we don't keep up with the Rangers too well, and I don't really care about the Rangers. So what was your answer, Marco? I'm sorry.
I was just saying that we are at a slight disadvantage, but I think it's sort of close.
You think we're at a slight disadvantage? Interesting.
Because we're the papers say on paper we are a hitting team, and if it's big and it's robbing us of some runs that we might get otherwise, then we're at a slight disadvantage. Also because on paper the Dodgers have better pitching staff and
okay.
Just
Micah?
on paper though.
It really I think I like us I like our chances in a big ballpark. I think outside of Duvall, I think we have rangier outfielders than they do. So, you know, if our outfielders can cover more ground, they can potentially take away or catch a lot of balls that like those potential gappers and stuff. But you know, I find that now, granted, it's not so big where we can't hit it out, but I think with all our speed, like if Acuna hits one in the right center field gap, there's a potential chance he could get 3. So you know, it's stuff like or Albies or something like that. I mean, I think this could be a potential, or you know, 42 feet behind home plate. Like a bad pitch turns into an easy extra base, potentially 2. So I think I like our chances in a bigger ballpark than in a hitter's ballpark.
So you're saying more so because we have more speed.
Yeah. It just like, you know, it's more opportunities, but I mean, that also could work against us. But I think like they're judging by the way their offenses look this postseason, Like I think our offense is a little more explosive. We're faster. We've been hitting the ball versus them. They haven't really been hitting that great. So in a pitcher's ballpark, we could potentially put up runs because of our youth and athleticism versus them. If their bats aren't clicking, then they're going to have to try to keep us, to the pitcher's duels. And I mean, I don't know if they will be able to.
I think this park is built for the Braves.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I know as far as offensively, the Braves had the second highest hard hit rate ball in the major leagues. And then our pitching staff had the third lowest hard hit rate amongst all that. We also sport four players in the top 50 of hard hit rate percentage. That's Freeman, Acuna, Duvall, and
So what does that mean?
that was Dansby. So that means we make solid contact and hit it. I forget what it was, what the actual math on it is, but it's just solid contact on the ball. There's not like bloop hits, not like things like that. You're hitting line drives essentially. And then large parks like this with big alleys on either side, this is a ballpark made for Freddie Freeman. This is a ballpark made for Ronald Acuna. This is a ballpark made for Ozzie Albies. And one guy who, especially, and this is a guy I would really hope we re-sign this season, Travis d'Arnaud. He is a line drive hitting machine. Now, sometimes, it just finds gloves and it's not good. But when you have this much space to cover, it's a good sign. Now, the Dodgers are a good hitting team, but a lot of their guys that killed us in the past aren't hitting too well. Like Bellinger's only hitting like 220 this season. What's that other? Travis, I can't think of his name. Their third baseman. The redhead.
What's the I thought that was Justin.
Yeah, Justin. Not Travis. Whatever his name is. He's not batting too hot. So we're gonna have to jump on their pitching, and that's what I'm gonna lead this into. Of course, the big name on the Dodgers is Clayton Kershaw. How do you beat Clayton Kershaw? The thing about him, and the one reason that the Nationals were so successful against him last season, is because they sat on his fastball. And he throws a fastball about, I think it's like 52% of the time. I looked this up earlier. His set you up and really set the pace for the at-bat pitch is his fastball. That's his best pitch. And his curveball's dirty too. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to jump on that fastball early in the count, because when he likes to throw first pitch strikes with that fastball, and we are a great fastball hitting team. d'Arnaud, one of the best fastball hitters in the major leagues. Ozuna is one of the best fastball hitters in the league. Acuna smokes first pitch fastballs. I mean, that's why he leads the league in leadoff home runs the last 2 years. Ozzie's a great fastball hitter. Freddie Freeman can hit anything. Duvall's a great fastball hitter. And Markakis, he's decent at it. So I think we are set up to really surprise some teams in the major leagues, fans, I should say, out there. Everyone's going to pick the Dodgers to beat us. Everybody is. But I think we can surprise some guys. I know I said a lot.
Maybe I'm going full homer. I'm saying Braves going to win the championship this year. Let's go.
I don't want to see the Rays. I don't think we can beat the Rays in a series. I think they are equally as talented as us, but with a little bit better pitching.
It's also funny, though, that if the Astros make it, though, they get with their cheating asses, get an advantage in Texas.
Yeah, is that where the World Series is?
Yeah, it's in the same. It's going to be in the Rangers one too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be annoying. God, I hope they don't make it.
You start hearing trash cans getting hit and stuff out of nowhere.
Wait a second. I would literally just walk off the field if I were the Braves.
Oh man.
So let's go. really quick, I'm going to fire this question off, and I'm going to start with Micah and then Marco, and then I'll give my answer. What's the series? Who wins it, and what's the games? Micah.
What's the series?
Yeah. If we get the Dodgers.
I say Braves in 5.
Marco.
I'd say 2. We shock him in 5. Yeah.
We're all going 4-1. I don't like their depth behind Kershaw. The other Burley, whatever his name is.
Not Mark, but
it's the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can do it, and I think we've got the pitching to go up against them now. Can you imagine what this pitching staff is going to look like next year with Soroka healthy?
Bruh.
Soroka, Fried, Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright keeps us up.
We just gotta find a good 5th starter.
It would help.
Well, but just not necessarily like lights out, like potential ace guy. You just need somebody who that 5th, where it's not going to be a loss every time you get to the 5th starter.
Is it someone outside of the organization? Do we need to bring someone in? Do we need to bring Fool from the Reds who like?
You could almost just experiment with what you got. Still, you could
Trevor
try
Bauer.
nuke out again. Bauer's going to cost a lot.
Bauer already said
with
Bauer already trolled Braves fans saying, "Seems like y'all don't want me." So.
He's
a little punk ass bitch. You heard that he had a girlfriend contract? Y'all ever hear that story? Like where he was like his one stipulation for getting into a relationship with a girl is that they cannot be serious about him because he's not ready to commit.
Wow.
So he has a Jeter contract essentially.
Pretty much.
Sorry, Bauer, you're not that good. You may win the Cy Young this year, but you're not that good yet. That's
what I'm saying. He sort of in the past couple of years came on the scene. How is he already coming up with contracts like that?
Nah, Jeter.
JJ Redick.
I like the rumor I heard about Jeter was hilarious to me. One girl said she slept with Jeter, said she heard some noise, said she walked in there. He was in his den, butt naked, watching highlights of himself at like 3 in the morning.
Dude, I would too. Fuck that. If I were so rich and just off that, I'd just be sitting there watching tape.
You see that? He turns around. You see that double play? You see that? I shifted over before he's up there.
Come here real quick.
That's studying film, baby. That's why I'm the greatest.
Like your basket's at the door. The Uber's waiting.
All right. So real quick, what's y'all's most memorable Jeter highlight?
Oh, that's easy. The A's game.
Yeah. See, that's one.
Didn't he do something against us in the World Series?
He did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
intercepting the cutoff.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
And the toss to the amazing toss that he did to get that out, it was just like wow.
Yeah, like just saw that it wasn't going to make it there and had the wherewithal to cut it off way out of position and get it there.
Yeah,
I think the most iconic thing for me is that the backhanded jump throw to first, where he got it backhanded, turned and jumped and threw it and still got the guy. That play. Yeah. How hard it is to make that throw. That's like,
well,
ought to be close to 100 feet.
Here's the scary thing. There's a shortstop who did it all the time. There was 2 actually that I used to love, but we never talk about anymore because Jeter took all the shine from them.
Vizquel?
He was one of them,
and
one was a little bit before both of them, but we were still young. We were young when he was in the league.
Barry Larkin? No, he wasn't that great off defensively. He was good, but he wasn't that great.
The Wizard.
Oh, yeah.
Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith was a ridiculous. Like dude would throw the ball up. He would close his eyes, throw the ball up, and catch it, like with his eyes closed. Yeah,
like a little bit, or like really high in the air.
He would just he would lay in bed, close his eyes, throw the ball up, and he would follow like the shade. He said he could see the shade through his like eyelids and could catch the ball off of that.
I thought he was like Spider-Man. He just hear it. He just hear it, and
He hears the laces
the
going
wind's
through the
moving.
air.
Yeah, it's moving. It's turning left. And I need to turn my hand this way.
I wonder how many times he hit himself in the face.
I know, right?
Because you know he did. You know he did.
Oh,
It's
no.
like, oh man.
Or
Wait,
actually,
what's
I
that
don't. It might not have been. Actually, his eyes might have not have been closed.
See if y'all can see this.
He might have turned the lights out.
It's gone
Okay.
down a little bit. Can you see that little red mark right there?
from your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, I dropped my phone on my face the other day. God, it hurt.
But
God, it
no,
hurt.
he might have been sitting in a room in the dark and throwing the ball up and catching it.
Now, if he could see the shade in the dark, now that
Yeah,
is special.
This story's
superpowers.
inconsistent now. How the hell do you see shade?
He was in the dark. The ball was taped up in black tape. He was in a sound dampening room.
Like
He has no
I've heard
hands.
this-
no
I heard
moonlight.
the story.
No,
I probably heard this story probably about 12 to 15 years ago. So my memory is not 100% on that one, but I just remember it was something like that. Where his vision was impaired and he would throw the ball up and like could
Right.
search and catch it.
The first one sound good. It's like, okay, but until you start throwing other shit in, there's like, wait, that don't
He
make no
was
sense.
tied up, hanging over a pit of crocodiles. And if he missed it, he would fall to his death.
Oh man. Speaking of baseball games, did y'all ever play Iron Man?
Wait, what?
The
So
video game?
like it no. There was a game we used to play called Iron Man, where the coach would be like 10 to 15 feet away
Mhm.
from you and just hit a rocket at you. And if you missed it, you had to take your glove off and try and catch it without your glove.
That was
I was like,
what did we call that? We didn't call it Iron Man. Then we called that I think we just called it Hot Shot.
yeah,
I could be wrong, but
I never played baseball.
yeah, that was not a fun game.
yeah.
And then running the lines
Took
with the
off
bat
the
above
bat
your head.
one time. Huh? Oh my God. We ran poles like that for
Yeah,
punishment.
that's what running lines, running poles. Yeah.
What position did you play in baseball, Micah?
When I was younger, I pitched until I threw my shoulder out, and
Ooh.
then I played first and third.
Micah's got a nasty scoop at first.
Yeah, used to. Then I stopped playing. Third, I was better at third than first. And then I used to love to catch, but nobody would let me catch.
You'd be a perfect catcher.
you
Imagine
could
trying to
block like
run you
that.
over at home plate.
Bruh, that was my favorite part about catching.
Play the plate.
Oh, here it comes. Give me the ball.
You're like yelling at your shortstop, like, no, hold it for a little bit. Let him round.
I want to see him try this.
Oh man. All right. So we covered we didn't talk about the Rays versus Yankees. Rays currently lead the Yankees 2-1. They just kicked off. Let's check that score real quick. Scores. The Yankees are up 2-1 in the top of the 6th. Your boy Arozarena is over.
Rosarania. But he's been ridiculous this series. So every time I've turned the game on, it's like as soon as I turn it on, he's like, "Oh, Mike is watching. Bomb! Hey."
Well, if we meet them in the World Series, I'm gonna need you to not watch any game. Don't watch any game. We'll report to you.
Look, when he comes up to bat, I turn to another station.
Click. You're not even allowed to see him. All right, so that ends our baseball talks. You know what? Let's do college football first, or let's do NFL. Let's blow through the NFL just so we can.
Wait, isn't college football more of a blow through than the NFL is?
Yeah,
well, what I want to do is I want to end on a happy note.
We're not talking about the Falcons.
We are a little bit. We got to.
Well, I mean, you could still end on a happy note. Well, in COVID, I guess not.
Nope.
There's no happy notes.
Nope. Not in the NFL. It's getting to that point. You know, we're 4 games in. We all called it at 6.
Yeah.
We
Halfway.
might get it right. At this point of the season, man,
God
let
willing,
us go
it's
defeated so we get the number 1 pick.
I
Let
know.
us go 0-6 and they call the season. and we get the
Look,
number one pick.
Jets look to be trying to outshine us, though.
All right, so it sounded like let's go ahead and do the NFL. It sounded like we're NFL centric.
It's that the ESPN noise. This is the Grits Blitz.
Is that right?
So our neighbors a little bit north of here are a bunch of idiots. The ones that reside in Nashville. As you recall, last week when we talked about this, they had an outbreak and they had to move a game. And the NFL said, "Hey guys, don't do anything. Don't practice. Just shut it all down. You're not allowed to do any of that until we get all the final numbers. We test everyone. We figure out who all in your organization has it." The Titans said, "Fuck that. And we're going to continue to practice." We're now up to 23 players on the Titans who have tested positive for COVID. They're in danger of missing or rescheduling or just losing. They may even have to forfeit this game.
They should.
Honestly, for this, they should forfeit it because they were caught practicing at a local private high school. I don't know how NFL players thought that they could sneak into a facility. They had to ask permission to get into, use that. I guess they thought no one was going to bust out their phone. No one was going to tell on them. No one was going to catch them on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever the hell.
Nobody was going to tweet out that the Titans are practicing on our field.
Titans are here.
No, these are just our local high school kids. No, that's Derrick Henry.
Pretty sure
that's Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
That's our new strength coach. So I heard something. It was Hugh Douglas this morning was talking about it, and one of the clauses they added to the CBA this year was COVID related, obviously. And the NFL wanted to, teams wanted this in there that if players contracted COVID in a way that was not regulated, essentially, if they didn't catch it on the field or a practice facility or traveling to and from, places with the team, they were in danger of being fined or having their contract terminated, depending on, who they are. Or they could just cancel their salary for the season, depending on how bad the infraction was. So I think I mentioned this last week that a lot of the Titans players have been seen out at clubs after games. So that's your first infraction. And then after the NFL says shut it all down, you go and practice too. So you're now just saying, I don't care what you say. I don't care about any of this. You went out and got COVID. You spread it. And now you're continuing to ignore what the NFL is saying. What should be their punishment, guys?
Forfeiture. I do think that they should drop some of the games that they have scheduled. I mean, because you're inconveniencing other teams that followed protocols, and now you're putting them at a disadvantage when they have to make up these games later in the season on odd days and mess up their whole entire weekly schedules just because y'all couldn't keep your shit together. Just do what Baker Mayfield said. It's simple, guys. We just got to wear a mask and we can play football. If Baker can get it, y'all can get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they should definitely be docked games.
So you think they should forfeit this game?
Yeah. Forfeit this game and potentially any others that are affected by their irresponsibility. It's ridiculous how many tests just keep on popping up. It's like I'd say like more than 50% of all the tests the NFL have been on the Titans, all the positive ones.
More than that,
right?
Way more, yeah. Because 23 right now, and we had AJ. Another team had like 2 players. The Vikings had like 4. I think.
Patriots had 2.
And the Patriots had 2. So yeah, they have 23. it's like 80% of the tests.
Oh man,
busters.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say this: that practicing at the school facility, violating the NFL's ruling to practice at a private school is the most Mike Vrabel thing
really
I could ever think of. Oh, they said
what coaching tree is he on again?
Like, said, they told us we're not supposed to practice, but guess what? We're going to practice anyway because we want to play football. So Mike Vrabel basically gets this team in trouble because he can't just follow instructions. You know, coming through. I guess the one thing he took from Belichick, playing from Belichick, is we try to always bend rules any way possible. So I think, in my opinion, forfeiting this game is at minimum. I mean, like, they should at least have to forfeit this game, if not the next couple of games, until you know they're clear. And it's like, we can't hold up the season because of your recklessness. So we're not going to put any more players, any other teams or players at risk because y'all decided to be reckless. So forfeit the next couple of games. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'd be considering doing a suspension for Vrabel too, because you blatantly broke the rules, despite the fact they closed your facility for a reason, and you decided we're gonna practice anyway. I don't care. You know, we gotta practice.
That's a good point.
So I would look at suspending the players who were reckless, the ones like who, you know, potentially caught it going out to the clubs and stuff, forcing them to forfeit games until they get matter of fact, I want every negative test. I want everybody to go negative before y'all can play again. And then Vrabel might suffer a suspension after all of this. So
I think that's a good one. I think you also have to add in there a forfeiture of draft pick, because if you're forfeiting games, you're gaining ground in the draft.
True.
So you have to forfeit.
But you know the Titans are still, they're too good to.
I don't know. They haven't looked good this year, man. They haven't looked like
that division's terrible.
The Colts look good, man.
Yeah, you're right. The Colts look cool. Besides the Colts,
yeah. But the messed up thing is how this has affected other teams. So, and the Steelers, who were supposed to play them last week, had to move their bye week. So last week became their bye week. So now they have to go the remaining stretch of the season, 13 weeks essentially, with no break. So you screwed them over. The Titans have to do the same thing. So I think forfeiture of a first-round draft pick, a large fine for the organization, suspension of coaches, salaries have to be docked in some way. You have to make this fine or this punishment big enough to where other teams go, whoa, holy crap, no, we can't do this. We need to take this seriously. Because at this point, you know, the Titans just said, nah, we don't have to do that. We'll be fine. So you have to set the example now, and you have to set a firm example on this. I think also, in addition to this, they should be forced to trade their best players to the nearest organization of their liking. So the Falcons can trade Ito Smith for Derrick Henry. We can trade Isaiah Oliver for Adoree Jackson. We can trade Rico for Kevin Byard. Yeah, that's it. Cool. I'm good. I think that should be part of the punishment. Sounds good, right?
That's a good one.
Matter of fact, y'all can take our worst contracts too. No cap hit.
Right. Yeah. We swap salaries.
We can swap coaches too.
So, in more aftermath of this, they've had to move more games. So the Titans-Bills game that was supposed to play on Sunday is moved to Tuesday at 6 p.m. So we're going to have a Tuesday game.
Yes.
The Bills and Chiefs got moved to Sunday, and the Broncos versus Patriots got moved to Monday.
So when was the Bills and Chiefs originally for? Is that a Monday game or something?
Bills, Chiefs, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, moved to Sunday. I don't know what that was then.
Yeah, maybe it was a Thursday game.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe they got rid of the Thursday game because of that. I don't know.
Wait, but that couldn't be right because every team only plays one Thursday game, right?
I don't know. Oh yeah, because
you're right. So it had to be a Monday game.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe they just shifted it. That makes sense.
But
so tonight we've actually got, I think it's going on right now. Yeah, you've got Buccaneers versus Bears. Let's check in on that game. See what that score is. NFL
10-0 Bucks.
10-0. All right. So the way I looked at this is the since week 1 when the Buccaneers went into to New Orleans and looked real bad. They haven't really faced a good defense since then. So this will be their first test since to see if this resurgence or this flow that they've had is actually real against this Bears defense.
Been pretty bad though.
Yeah.
Well, I said that in the game against us. He didn't look that great. It's just our secondary was so beat up that we couldn't stop him.
2 lucky throws got him, saved him. That one that went right through Oliver's hands, and then the one where he got laid out by Michael Walker and still managed to hit a guy in stride.
Those were pretty balls though.
Yeah.
The one to Oliver, the one that he threw to Allen Robinson, that was not a pretty ball. That should have been a pick 6.
About 3 or 4 that was
a different
pretty
play.
Balls from Nick Foles in the game.
That was a different play. You had the Allen Robinson touchdown. You had that one that went through Oliver's hands because Debo was just no.
If I'm not getting the pick, nobody does.
So
especially not you, Oliver.
Like I said, the last one, what can you do? I mean, that was he got hit and threw a perfect pass. So but other than that, it was and like the Allen Robinson touchdown. If Oliver did anything except try to strip the ball, it's just not even that great of a play. But he tried to strip him.
Oh yeah,
Allen Robinson breaks the tackle. Bleedy just gets destroyed, like thrown to the ground like a child. And then Isaiah Oliver just gave up because he knew he couldn't run him down from behind.
That play is definitely on the Falcons blooper.
That one that she picked was to Graham. That's who it was.
Yeah.
All right. So in our eternal path of sadness this season, what it seems like, let's rehash what happened on Monday night for the world to see. For those of you that didn't watch, we got beat by 2 scores by the Packers, who were without Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, their top 2 wide receivers. Yeah, and they still had Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams.
Aaron was 20 for 20 to his running backs and tight ends.
God. Aaron Rodgers, please stop listening to this podcast. Please stop taking my advice.
Come on, better yet, Falcons, take our advice.
Yeah, Falcons, please listen to this
our podcast.
So in that game, we suffered even more injuries. We already went into that game without both of our starting safeties. Keanu was out, Rico was out. We were down Denard, and then we lost KZ. He went down to a torn Achilles. If you were watching the game, you knew right away what happened to him. It looked like he got shot and just fell down on the ground.
He was writhing.
And really, after that point, the Falcons just looked like what we are, and that's a poorly coached team. There were several plays where you saw guys uncovered. Granted, these are backups that you were throwing in there, but these are also guys that are on your practice squad that you called up, and they're being taught the scheme and are getting reps during camp. I mean, I know they
still don't have the talent. They just don't have the talent.
But you should know how to cover someone.
No.
Well, here's the thing. It's a communication. So, if you've never played with guys before, it's kind of you don't know, if you play with guys all the time, you know exactly, all right, this is what he's going to do. I need to be here, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And that's really why our defense struggles so much when Rico's not out there, because he's such a good communicator that he can keep everything together. But when you don't have a Rico, you have all backups, including, because even Jalen Hawkins left the game. So we were down in our
Concussion.
fifth and sixth string. Literally, a guy who got called up from practice squad Friday wound up getting in the game.
Wait, I'm playing? Oh no, I'm not ready for this.
so it was. I don't want to say the perfect storm because but it was Murphy's Law. Anything bad that could happen happened. Now, the funny thing is, I talked to somebody who's not a Falcons fan, and he wasn't even that critical of the defense. He was more critical of the offense.
Yeah.
Because what he said was he was like, your defense got you a goal line stand. They got you a goal line stand, which you followed up with a 20-play drive to get 3 points.
Just get a field goal.
So it's like, your offense was for the most part healthy outside of Julio, but the offense was healthy for the most part, and you could only put up 16 points. So it's like, at a certain point, your offense has got to step up, and you got to take your game to another level. Matt didn't look great. Running game actually didn't look bad, but
Todd Gurley was our best player that game.
When you get down multiple scores to Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you can't run the ball 40 times and expect to get back in that game. So, like he
right,
said,
it's misplaced running.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, it was some terrible blown coverages by defense. But you expect that to happen considering how banged up we are in the secondary. But at the end of the day, if the offense had done anything, that was a winnable game.
Yeah, Matt Ryan definitely cost us that game. When you go back and you look at all the times like Calvin was open, or
in the corner of that end zone.
It's like a lot of the momentum swings that we could have had if Matt, looked to the left or right, But then, you could also throw this on DT or DK, whatever the hell his name is, Dirk Cutter. You can throw it on him too, just for generally bad decision making and running the ball on second and third and long, and just bad play calls. But at the same time, Matt Ryan, as an MVP, needs to be able to hit open guys in the freaking end zone.
Well, no, there were two plays in general that stuck out, that stand out in my mind still. There was the one play where, now granted, it turned out that it might have worked out better because which corner was guarding Ridley?
Alexander.
I think it was God.
Yeah, Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander really ran a deep comeback. Matt, there's no real pressure on Matt, but he for some reason doesn't set his feet and wind up skipping the ball to Ridley. That was one play. And then the other one was it was the second to last drive of the game, 4th down. Matt does a great job eluding the rush, steps up in the pocket, extends the play, has Ridley open in the end zone, and throws it. But because he doesn't have that great of an arm, he kind of stopped Ridley in his tracks, only for the safety to come back into play and knock it out of Ridley's hands. And I think it was Brian Greasy was doing the call, and he said, it's a great play by Matt Ryan. He just didn't have enough arm. He just couldn't get enough arm on it, or he doesn't have enough arm to get that throw there. And like I argued with somebody at the Falcons forum earlier this week, and they were saying how if we had Pat Mahomes as our quarterback, we'd still be 0-4. I'm like,
what?
No, I said it's throws like that Pat Mahomes makes with ease. Like he would have led Ridley. Boom,
5
touchdown.
yards into the end zone instead of at the goal line.
Exactly. So,
Pat Mahomes could roll right and still come back left and hit Ridley in the corner of that open play.
So, but I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, I'm the most critical of Matt in our group, but that it's things like that really frustrate me, because it's like our offense is too talented to be this inefficient. And yes, a lot of it goes to Dirk Cutter, but Matt hasn't exactly. Matt looked great against Seattle, and he looked great against Dallas, but he hasn't looked good since then. And oh well, we put up 29 against the Bears. Yeah, but when we actually needed him to make some throws, he couldn't complete a pass. So it's just this, huh?
So we were front runners.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things. Like that's been my frustration with him, especially the fact that we're paying him, an absorbent amount of money. So
yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan, I think we're starting to see the decline of his arm. I think this is where you really start to go, oh yeah, like he's never had the strongest arm, but the way it looked last Monday or this Monday, it was pathetic. There were several times where you're looking at that like, what was that? Like, I mean, the throw to Ridley wasn't that far of a throw. It was maybe like a 25, maybe 30.
No, I think it might have been like 18.
Yeah, that's inexcusable.
The one in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah, Ridley came open on a post, and
okay, that one.
Yeah, where people are like, oh, Ridley dropped it. It's like, yeah, technically it hit him, but Matt let like Micah said, let the safety back into play. You throw that ball because Ridley started to go to the ground to catch that ball. You hit Ridley in stride. That's an easy 6 points.
He was running away from everybody. If you can lead him a little bit, then it's an easy touchdown. Instead, you got everything you could on it, and it barely got to him, and it allowed the safety to get back in and knock it down.
Yeah. So
that's the frightening part, though. It's like it looks like he's putting everything on it, but then that ball don't go nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and that throw to the sideline that we were talking about, that comeback route on the right side, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that other than his arm is dying.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we talk about Breeze.
Go ahead.
We talk about Breeze. We talk about, Brady still has a very strong arm. You talk about Phillip Rivers. I think Matt's going to start joining that conversation pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what it is with Matt though is like obviously his best season ever was under when with Shanahan, but Shanahan and it looked as if Matt Ryan got a stronger arm because he was saying all that stuff like, oh, I'm with the pitching coaches and I'm doing all this stuff, but in fact it was just the fact that Shanahan's genius was designed around Matt Ryan's weak arm.
Right.
So that year he was good at throwing the deep ball because somebody was always open. You know what I mean? And he could underthrow them and they were still open. You know what I mean? But now that's like with bad play calls and a weak arm, it's like there's a whole bunch of plays being drawn up that Matt Ryan just will not complete. You know what I mean?
Think about all the big plays that we had that year with Shanahan. They were a lot of catch and runs. They weren't like Matt throwing people open. They weren't Matt
turbo screens.
Yeah, I mean, he hit Aldrick Robinson a couple of times on like go routes, but I mean, that's what Matt does. He's like, oh, you're 5'8", cool, I can hit you in stride.
Right.
But
a lot of it was just timing. It was get rid of the ball at a certain time, throw it to a certain spot, and let them run under it.
Yeah.
Because but if he went in, like a lot of it was turn your back, sell the play action fake, and when you turn around, just throw it as far as you can to that spot, and let them go get it. But what we're seeing now is the timing isn't there. He's actually having to lead receivers. Like he's actually trying to have to throw it and lead receivers like Julio and Ridley, who are faster than the average receiver, and he can't get it there.
Yeah. All right. So I think what the saddest part of this game to me, though, was watching a guy that we used to have on our sideline here in Atlanta, Matt LaFleur, call the Shanahan offense beautifully.
Brilliant game plan.
Like you constantly saw backs in motion. You constantly saw him move a guy from the left side of the formation to the right, to move the backers over to the right, just to run a misdirection back to the left side. He moved the defense with his play calling way more than Dirk Cutter ever has. Like, we've been giving Dirk Cutter props for moving people pre-snap these last couple of games, but they're very basic pre-snap movements.
Superficially, right?
They're defensive reads. They're not altering the defense. And that's things that if you watch the 49ers still, if you go back and watch 2016 with us, that's what made Matt Ryan good. And that's what made our running game good. Like, you see us, if you see pre-snap motion with us this year, you know it's a pass. You don't see pre-snap motion with a run. You don't see us bring in 2 running back sets. Like Gurley and Ito Smith in the backfield would be a great combination for passing or for running. Gurley and Brian Hill. Brian Hill's getting a little bit better with catching, but that would still be a deadly, 1-2 running punch right there.
Yeah.
You just don't see it. There's no creativity to Dirk Cutter's offense, and his arrogance is what's killing us. And I think Dirk, as a punishment, Dirk Cutter should isolate himself and go off to some mountain and just stay there for the rest of the year.
Bro, speaking of the 2-back sets, I told you about that whole offensive scheme that I made for McVay to attack the Patriots defense.
Mm-mm.
So it was essentially a 2-back set, come out in like a split back shotgun, and then you can motion your backs, put your back into motion. Actually, it was more like a pistol, but motion one of the backs out to a slot. That way you can see what they're playing. If you see their man zone, if a linebacker follows them, then you have numbers on the inside probably. So you could potentially do a run up the middle. You can do play action. You can do, run reverses, and you can run so much stuff off of that split back and just motioning people around versus, just a traditional. But, I never got a chance to give him that offensive game plan before playing the Patriots.
It would have.
It would. The thing that frustrates me most about what I see with Matt is when there's nothing I hate more than the 3-step drop, wait, check down. If you're gonna check down, do it quick. Don't wait for the play to develop only to hit, a 5-yard pass. Like,
let the linebackers and the safeties set their feet so they can drive on the check down.
Right.
Well, it's 2 things that are really frustrating me about our offense. One is the lack of ability, which we knew it because Rondé Barber has said it many times when he's been doing that commentary for our game. They never feared Matt Ryan's arm. But the biggest thing was, the third downs. Like, how many times has he thrown to the guy who's 3 yards short of the first down marker and on third downs? And it's like, first, why? And I mean, he does it quick. And it's like, dude, why is that your first read?
But I won't just say that's him. You see that a lot in the NFL.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as a quarterback, your first read should be somebody a route that's past the first down marker. Like that guy running that drag over the middle 3 yards short of the first down marker should be one of your safety valves. But it shouldn't be like you literally see him hit his 3-step drop and immediately throw to that guy like it's a guaranteed to get us the first down. And it's like, dude, that should not be your first read right there. And that's been one of my frustrations. Now, I don't know if that's just Dirk with the play calling.
I think that's like 70% play call, because why isn't everybody going straight to the line, to the first down? Why would you even have yards? Maybe like have one escape valve, and maybe that's Matt is just like, okay, he doesn't look it over and he just goes to his escape valve. But I feel like you see multiple routes of people running short of the first down.
I mean, I can understand against certain things, like if a team is sending an all-out sending the house, and that's legitimately the first read that you can get to. You can get it to them, and potentially if they're sending 7, that means that, like, you hit really in stride on a drag route right there. He breaks a tackle. It can potentially be a big play if they send a 7, but it shouldn't be your first read. And it's like Matt doesn't look at anything else but that route because it's like he just doesn't want to get hit. And it's like I'm just going to get rid of the football and hopefully they make a play.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the offense. It's not what it should be with the amount of talent we have. And I mean, granted, Julio hasn't been healthy, but I mean, Julio is always dinged up. But it's just
I told a friend of mine about that on Julio. You know, they talked about trading Julio, and it's like we're starting to really see how important Julio is to our offense. Because with no Julio, teams don't respect anything we do offensively pretty much. Well, they don't fear the run game until Gurley starts to get going. Then they make adjustments. But like most teams, like the Bears, both the Bears and the Packers, they just locked up man to man and said, we don't think you have anybody who can beat us man to man.
But I think also that you could say that that's also a function of play calling, right? Because it appears when Julio's not on the field, Matt cannot find anybody open, right? Because obviously he's not good at leading people, right? So he needs people to be like wide open or like have beat their man, you know.
But really the presence of Julio shifts your defense. So most coaches know they don't have a corner who can guard Julio man to man. So what they do is they shade a safety, or you know they give help. So you shift your defense just to help on Julio, and it opens up passing lanes. It opens up zones or whatever for Matt to get easy receptions, or to get easy passes and receptions. But what's happening is it's like we're not even going to play zone. We're just going to man up and see who can beat us man to man. And really, if Ridley gets open, you know, if really like the Bears, it's like, all right, we'll help on Ridley, make somebody else beat us. And it's like, oh shit. And for some reason, Hurst can beat coverage, but you know, Matt just doesn't have that chemistry with them like he did with our old tight end Hooper. Yeah.
You want to hear a stat that I was looking at all these things?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
On the season, quarterbacks against our defense are 121 of 166 for 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions for a 73% completion percentage.
Yucky.
The 2 interceptions came
in the
first game.
Yep.
Both of them in the Bears game.
Second game.
Yeah, it was in the Bears game against Mitch.
Because
it got him benched.
Russ didn't turn the ball over.
So,
Russ was like, nope.
Except for the team that has bad quarterbacks, we haven't got an interception, and they're throwing. I mean, let's take out.
Did Dak throw a pick against us? No.
Nope. He had 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. So let's take out 29. So
Foles, it was Foles. Yeah, both our picks came against Foles and Trubisky.
So 92 of 166 minus 51. So 92 of 115 divided by 115. If you take out the bad quarterback game, they're completing 80% of their passes against us on the season.
Damn.
Wow.
80% of passes thrown against our defense are completed.
And we were healthy. Those
and 0 interceptions.
Nice.
All right. So in the Packers game, this is the last thing we'll say about this, is we got no pass rush. The only time we got a sack on Aaron Rodgers was essentially Aaron Rodgers tripped on the ground and Charles Harris said, "Oh, look what I found."
And then he hurt himself and then still managed to come back and convert like a 16-yard first down, right?
Right. That was our only sack of the game, and that was our only quarterback hit of the game as well. We did not put hands on Aaron Rodgers at all. If you're going to beat Aaron Rodgers, you got to touch him. There's no way you're beating him if he's sitting in a clean pocket.
Yeah. What? Granted, granted, there weren't many. We blew so many coverages, especially in that second half after Casey went down, that he didn't have to hold on to the ball long at all. It was Tanya was getting open almost instantly on a lot of the plays.
It was snap. Oh, which one do I want to throw to? They're both open.
Yeah. Now, granted, you had the one play where our safety tackled Tanya.
Jamal Carter.
Carter tackled Tanya. Tanya just does a barrel roll, hops back up, and it's like, dude, so you tackled him and didn't think to follow him downfield? Really? I did my job. I tackled him. He's out to play.
Oh, by the way, we signed JJ Wilcox this week, so he's back.
Okay.
So speaking of people that are back, we're getting a bunch of people back this week from the injury side of the football and from COVID. So AJ Terrell is coming back. I've heard it pronounced both different ways. I don't know. They haven't decided on how they want to pronounce it.
Such a different
Tyrod. We'll figure it out. Kiki and Rico are both coming back. Tack is finally coming back. That's going to be a huge lift to our pass rush. And then Julio's a game time decision. I don't think he should play.
Yeah. No point of potentially seriously hurting that hamstring.
Especially against the Panthers.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how this defense does, considering we get so many guys back again, because that Panthers offense has looked pretty good.
I want to see this. Yeah, I mean, I want to see what this secondary will look like with both starting safeties healthy. And then you have Terrell on one side, Chef on the other, and Denard in the slot. That's what I can't wait to see. Because that'll tell us.
You don't want Isaiah Oliver out there, man?
No. No, I don't.
We could put him in strong safety.
We can put him at left out.
Actually, I want to see him in safety because he's not a bad tackler. It's just
he's
like
a pretty good tackler. Yeah.
And I heard some talk about them maybe moving him to safety.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a little bit better for him.
Give it
considering he's not confident. He's not confident in his speed enough to play corner to match man to man with receivers, and he's got height and he's got long arms. He might do better guarding tight ends, but
probably not.
He wouldn't be the first corner we converted.
All right.
I mean, KZ and Rico are both corners that we drafted.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll make this a two-part question so we can get off this depressing topic of the NFL. What should we hope for the rest of the season? And is it acceptable or okay as a fan of a team to root for them to do poorly so something can happen? Like you're essentially rooting for that team to play bad so you can Dan Quinn gets fired, Dirk Cutter gets fired. So first part, what should we hope for? And is it okay if that hope is negative? Micah.
What should we hope for? Oh man. I don't think we should hope for anything. I mean, maybe that some of our young guys start to develop a little bit more, because that's really what it's going to look like AJ Terrell, Kendall Sheffield, if he can continue to progress. That's really the only things. Or Gurley, I want to see Gurley because you could potentially sign Gurley for another year or two. I wouldn't spend too much on him because of the injury issue, but he's looked really well. You know, what do we do with Brian Hill? It's more so, if anything, I'm looking more so for next year and who's worth bringing back. Who's just like, all right, this guy's got to go. This guy's a solid trade asset. Like I read somewhere today, like Tyler Davison and Rico should be our top two trade assets. And then you want to look at like what if I'm Arthur Blank, I'd want them to just be like, all right, let's see who all should stay, who all should go. Now you already know Julio and Matt can't go anywhere despite what a lot of fans think. You can't afford to because cap wise, but like who else should stay, who else should go. So when you get the new coach in there, where like you know what players you're going to be really building around. Now is it acceptable for fans to root for the team to do bad? I mean, I don't see the problem with it. I mean, if you like, I think a lot of analysts and stuff hate tanking, and a lot of older school folks to hate tanking. But at the end of the day, if your team isn't good enough, if your team isn't getting it done, then you might just need to rebuild from scratch, or as much as possible, because we're tied into a lot of contracts. But you need to look for some big changes, and that's the only way big changes are going to happen if you really hit that rock bottom.
I mean, yeah, it's not bad to hope that your team does bad, so you can get something positive out of it. But I think in Atlanta, that's sort of like hoping your team does bad in Atlanta is almost like, I don't know, it's like counterproductive because they're gonna do bad anyway. But yeah, I don't know. What can we hope for the rest of the season? I don't know, just something that's not just frustrating to watch, like because if they're gonna just start tanking, I mean, I'll just stop watching. But it's hard to watch these Falcon games, man. It's just really hard. So if they could like put together some type of competent football, that'd probably be the best thing.
So you would rather watch us finish 7-9 again?
I mean, I don't want us to be 0-16.
Is 7-9 better than 0-16 though? Because 7-9 doesn't make the playoffs,
and it doesn't get us close to a top 5 pick.
It's a 12-16 pick. Is that the guys you want to be picking from again, Marco? Or do you want a shot at, top tier talent?
I don't know what the hell I want.
Trey Lance.
I honestly, I mean, a lot of I was just looking at drafts, and some of them have us picking at 2, some of them have us picking at 6. I don't know how they've determined that, considering we don't have a win. How they're determining that the Jets.
I think they look at potential. I think they look at the injuries and stuff, and they probably say once we get some folks to come back, then we might win a couple of those games in the middle of our season.
The Buccaneers are now down 14-13 going into halftime, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, y'all are watching?
Yeah.
I think at this point, our best hope as fans and for our long-term sanity is to root for us to continue to look the way we do. Julio Jones decides, you know what? This hamstring injury is a little worse than I thought. It's not worth it. I'm not risking a long-term injury. I'm not going to blow my hamstring this year for this. Matt Ryan continues to look like he can't throw the ball further than 15 to 20 yards. Dirk Cutter looks inept as an offensive coordinator because he's like, I don't have a superstar at wide receiver. I don't know what to do now. Dan Quinn can't coach defense, and it gets blown up. We do kind of like what the Panthers did. We do what a lot of these other teams did, except in a smaller fashion. And you either draft his successor right now and just stash him and hope Matt teaches him, or you go best defensive player that you can. And it's got to be, because I don't think Tak's coming back. I think the relationship is too sour with Tak unless we clean house, including the front office. I don't think Tak's going to want to come back to this. He's had enough. You either go best pass rusher, or you go quarterback. If we're in the top 5, you got to. And I would much rather have Lawrence over Fields, but I'd take Fields as a consolation prize too. I think Kyler Murray is
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance or Trask. Trask has looked amazing down in Florida.
Pitts is a beast though.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of college football, now that our resident college football hater is not amongst us, we can talk about the lesser talented players. Some might be better than the Falcons at this point. In college football. So, in the world of Florida State, because I am your resident Florida State fan, if you've watched on YouTube or have heard me talk about it at all, you can see behind me the Seminole head or the Seminoles blanket. Seminoles finally got their first win after getting decimated by the Miami Hurricanes, that team from the South. And we have finally found a starting quarterback. Jordan Travis will be our starter. We go into Notre Dame next week with a chance, I think. I mean, the defense looked really bad because the offense was pulling a Falcons essentially and was leaving the defense on the field the whole game, and making them try and get stops left and right. And against a team like Florida or a more talented team in general, you just can't do that. Jordan Travis opened up the playbook for us. They looked like we could actually run the ball a little bit. You had a little bit of option in there. You had a little bit of quarterback runs, because when you're a quarterback who runs a 4-3, it changes the game for the defense. So I'm happy about that. I'm glad to see what we can do. Maybe this game against Notre Dame and their 33 players on the COVID list will
right. Isn't their whole team have COVID?
Yeah, will be interesting.
And who they still managed to beat last year with their whole team last week with their whole team having COVID?
I don't know.
I know they beat somebody in the ACC.
Don't care. Don't care. College football's a shit show right now. Yeah. But Marco, what are your Canes doing?
I mean, they look really good. I mean, De'Aaron King is the best quarterback we've had in probably 20 years, and he really zips that ball, and he's accurate.
He spins it.
He spin that thing, and he
spin it.
And our running game is elite, and our defense is looking really good.
Rousseau is a beast off the edge.
Right. Even though we haven't really played anybody to really say that, to really affirm how great we are. But this game against Clemson will be a great test, just to see where we really stand. And, win or lose, I think we can still be in the picture, just because Clemson will probably go undefeated if they get past us. So, yeah, I mean, is Miami back to being a competitive and good program? I think so. Are we back to the days of winning championships? No, not quite yet.
So, how do you feel about this game against Clemson? Do you feel like you guys have a shot?
Yeah, I think we have. I don't think we're going to get decimated like we in the year of the turnover chain, where we got beat by 50. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I haven't really watched Clemson this year. I'm gonna be honest. I saw them sort of like they still beat Virginia handily, but they weren't like that impressive against them.
The first half was a real grind.
Right. And with us having such an explosive offense, I think that we have a chance. We have a chance to put some points up against them, and maybe get some pressure on Lawrence, make him try to look like he did against LSU, and just freaking panicking like he did in that championship game. So yeah, I mean, I think we have a shot.
Give me a score prediction right now. Ready, set, go. You're thinking too long. Go.
I'll say Homer scored 38-35.
Do you?
Yeah.
Cool. Micah, let's talk about your dogs.
Them dogs. How about them dogs? Yeah, so UGA looked actually surprised after Dwan Mathis was taken out in the first game, and we found a surprise starter in Stetson Bennett.
The fourth,
yes. So a guy who, I mean, up until, granted, we thought Jamie Newman was going to be the starter initially. Then he opted out. So then it looked like JT Daniels automatically would take the starting spot as the guy on the roster with starting experience, playing at USC and transferring, which is crazy to me. You spent your whole life playing in Southern California, high school and everything, transfer all the way across the country to UGA, and with a knee injury keeps you from potentially winning the starting job. And Stetson Bennett IV has looked so good that doesn't look like JT Daniels is ever going to really get a shot to play, barring Bennett doesn't get hurt. Knock on wood. But Bennett looked really good against a very good Auburn defense. Auburn is talented. Defensively, they might have one of the most talented defenses in the nation. But
this year, they lost a lot of talent.
They still have some. They reload on defense. They got some big defensive linemen, some really good defensive linemen. But they look good. He looked good against them. Run game, it was very balanced. The offense looked like the way I want the Falcons offense to look. Run, pass, everything. It was just very balanced. And one of our weak points last year was at receiver. Well, we don't look that bad at receiver this year. You got Pickens. Pickens in his second year looks to be a lot better. We have guys who can run routes other than just run verts and look for that deep that back shoulder throw that Fromm used to love so much. So yeah, we'll see what we got a tough test coming up. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend in Bama. If we can do something against Bama, then I'll potentially get excited for the projection of the season. But that's really our test, because typically what happens is we look great, then we play a good team and look piss poor, and it just derails our entire season. So even though we might finish 11-1 in the regular season, but just that one loss pretty much exposed the team and kills any shot at potentially winning a national championship. So
don't overlook Tennessee, man. They're a really good team.
I don't. I'm not overlooking them. I think they're good, but I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Pruitt.
I'll take him back. He can coach. You know what? I'd like to see him coach the Falcons defense.
Damn
good defensive coordinator.
I'm just talking about just as a head coach, but
head coach.
But that's the thing. I think we have enough talent to potentially beat them.
Y'all gonna mess them up, man.
But I'm not saying I'm not worried about them, but the Bama game is the real test.
Yeah.
I mean,
but Florida, man.
Yeah. Because it's games like those that we blow, and we wind up just coming out looking flat, and that pretty much ends any national title hopes that we ever have.
I was going to say that's going to be weird to watch that game without fans, but the way Florida teams have been, it may be a packed stadium. Who knows?
Jorts. You're going to see the jorts everywhere.
The jorts protect us. We won't get COVID.
Doesn't that usually happen when it's still warmish?
What's that?
The cocktail party?
Yeah.
It's around Halloween usually.
Yeah, I about to say I don't think they push that game at all.
Before we get off college football, I do want to say, I know a couple weeks back I was talking about Spencer Rattler. I watched that Oklahoma game, and I just want to say, I don't know. I feel like Oklahoma's doing him a disservice by not having people who can catch the ball, because I don't know. And first, I don't know how people on Iowa State were getting more open. What was Lincoln Riley doing? Spencer Rattler was out there scrambling around like Russell Wilson trying to find open receivers. It's why is he having to work so hard in this blue chip program to to find people to throw to, and then they drop it. He throws dimes to them after scrambling to the sideline, and they just drop it. It's just crazy, man. They need to do better by my boy Spencer out here.
Nah,
You were wrong. It's okay.
Spencer's good though. I'm not backing down. Spencer Rattler is a very talented quarterback.
There's one more college football story that I know Lionel would want us to talk about.
Lionel doesn't talk about college football unless it's Georgia State.
Pretty much.
Lane Kiffin.
Oh yeah.
Lane Kiffin basically saying that Ole Miss would have a better shot to beat Alabama if it was one-on-one between Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban. Said Nick Saban can't cover me. And Nick Saban basically was like, he's probably right.
I'm old. In short, Saban said, I'm old. My knee, I have a hip replacement. My knee's hurt.
Yeah.
Kiffin's hilarious.
And then he held up his rings and said, suck my dick, Kiffin.
Oh man.
All right, Micah. Let's wrap up the segments here today. Let's move it to your lightning round question that you got for us.
Lightning round. Okay, guys. All right. What's a movie or an actor like that's just kind of a guilty pleasure? It's like no critically acclaimed, just they're not great movies, but something that you can't help. Like every time it comes on, you gotta watch it.
You go first.
Ooh, I got one actually. It's Underworld. Those movies didn't really get that great of reviews, but I thoroughly enjoyed them. Yeah, the first one and the second one was really good. Third one I don't remember, and after that it just kind of lost me. It got too crazy. It was like everyone was dead, but not actually, because we need to make more movies. Kate Beckinsale.
They had the one with Michael Ealy was helping her out. I forgot which one that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually liked them. They entertained me.
They were definitely entertaining to me. So I would say that's the movie. I don't think I could throw Super Troopers in there as a.
It's not critically acclaimed.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Super Troopers will be my second one.
Not two.
No,
just
two never happened. There is no Super Troopers 2. That's not a thing.
All right, Marco.
Mine will probably be like after watching this Cobra Kai. I remembered when growing up, my favorite, and it can be an answer for both. Like one of my favorite actors was Jonathan Brandis.
Oh man, Sidekicks.
He was in Sidekicks and Ladybugs. Both of those movies I like, especially Sidekicks. I looked at like the Rotten Tomatoes and all that. They like got like 7% and like 5%, and like just completely panned. But I remember actually enjoying those movies a lot. So Jonathan Brandis, Ladybugs. And then the couple movies that he was in, like even though I haven't seen them in a long time.
All right, R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah, he took his life. Took his own life.
For me, to be honest with you, Vince Vaughn movies are something that they're hilarious to me. Like Dodgeball, whenever Dodgeball comes on, I always watch it. Old School, even though you can't see Old School on anything but like TBS, so it's edited like crazy. But even still, I loved Old School, The Internship. I like Vince Vaughn movies for some reason. Steven Seagal. Like legitimately, as bad as those movies are, they're hilarious. Like, and the sad thing is they're not supposed to be hilarious, but they are.
I'll throw in The Rock. I'll throw in The Rock too, because that one movie where he played the fat kid who got teased and then he became
CIA.
Everybody hated that movie, but I watched it on a plane and I was like, that movie was all right.
Yeah, CIA. Then you got another one. Now, granted, this Guy Ritchie films aren't critically acclaimed,
which is dumb.
but I can
if you don't like Guy Ritchie movies, you're dumb.
Now there are a few that I didn't like. I finally saw King Arthur or whatever.
I want the director's cut of that so bad.
I didn't like that one.
I messaged him asking for it.
But
I'll buy it for any cost. Let me see this movie. I know it's good.
Between Snatch, Lock, Stock,
Rock and Roll was pretty good.
Rock and Roller. I really like Rock and Roller. And The Gentleman. I'm like, bruh, those Guy Ritchie films, I can watch those all the time. Boondock Saints, the original, not 2 and 3. Not 2
I
and
forgot
3.
about 3.
But the original Boondock Saints, it's a lot for me. But yeah,
just if you watch a Guy Ritchie film, if you've never seen one, just look at the period at which he was married to Madonna and don't watch those movies. That's the key. She sucked the soul out of him.
The ability to create.
I've actually got a lightning round question that I just thought of for our listeners, and take a look out for it on social media here. I'm going to pose it for you guys, and I want you guys to answer, but it's based around the NFL draft here, because I didn't realize it, but potentially the top 2 picks in this upcoming NFL draft are both going to be quarterbacks from Georgia.
Yeah.
So what's the lightning part of it?
We're going to put it up for them to answer.
What's the question?
Are you listening to me? Are you a listener? It's going to the people on social media, Marco.
I'm just saying, what's the question for them? I don't get it. You didn't ask the question.
It's going to be posed on social media. Do I need to
He's only posing to them
out and spell this out for you?
You just said in the draft there's going to be 2 quarterbacks, both
and
from
you
Georgia.
will get the question on social media.
Oh, so it's like a mystery thing. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Where am I? All right. For Rex, I'll start us off. On pretty much all social medias now, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube, follow Eat the Past. This is my cousin's page. She started this. She told me it used to be a thing, which there's like a club where they did like food history, like food facts and things like that. And then it fell under like a decade or 2 ago. And so she picked it up and has started doing these things. She's a Georgia Tech graduate, Harvard graduate, and like is getting her 3rd like master's from another Ivy League school. She's an absolute genius. But it's at Eat the Past on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. It's facts about food and food history and like all things based around food. It's actually wildly fascinating, especially if you enjoy history. So check her out. Her name's Sarah at Eat the Past.
All right, so I'm gonna do another rec. 2 recs. 1, watch Cobra Kai. Season 1 and season 2. It is an amazing show. I'd watched season 1 when it first came out, but when it was still on YouTube, I never got around to watching season 2, and I finally did that this past weekend. Season 2 might be better than season 1.
For sure. That last episode is one of the best episodes of anything I've ever seen.
Yes. And it's on Netflix now, so you don't need a YouTube premium account to watch it. And 2, I recommend anyone who lives in the Atlanta area hit up at Loving the Flu and get you some fish and grits. I'm telling you, it's a different level. The dude is crazy with it, and it's not that expensive. So, like I said, at Loving the Flu on Instagram, hit him up, get something.
Because if you're into fish and grits and all that sports shit, no one's gonna follow me up.
What?
Y'all are terrible.
Is there a tagline?
Everybody,
If
let
you're-
me hear you say, "Oh yeah, you're."
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And all that pimp shit. Okay, I didn't catch it. Yeah, sorry.
No, I said sports shit because this is our show.
Okay. Yeah.
Marco,
That was just for anybody to know. That was our working title, fish grits and all that sports shit. That was before we settled into
fish and
the
grits,
podcast.
the podcast.
But so for my Rex, first I got a couple for October 9th. A friend of mine, Pharaoh Fresh, he's a rapper from Atlanta, Northside. He's dropping his project tomorrow, so look out for that. Also October 9th in Beatle news is John Lennon's birthday. So I think what I heard is his son, Sean Lennon, is going to have a podcast tomorrow where he talks with Paul McCartney, and they're going to, talk about John. And Paul actually said he has an unreleased John Lennon song he's going to release tomorrow. So I'm pretty hyped about that. And yeah, that's my Rex.
Good stuff. I think we kind of we rolled our shout outs and Rex into one thing.
Yeah.
There it seems like. So that concludes episode 22, the double deuce, for Fish and Grits, the podcast. We will see ourselves out. I'm Ryan Dollar.
I'm Marco X. Eckies.
Big Mike Diesel.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.